Hello, guys. Welcome back to Nurse Thoughts. My name is Jeff,
My name is Judah.
and today we have new topics to talk about. Feel free to leave us comments for any more questions or anything you want to bring up for our upcoming videos.
So, disclaimer, Jeff and I have been a nurse for 2.5 to 3 years. Everything is solely based in our experiences, in our perspectives. So, this is our opinions.
And we don't intend to express superiority, nor do we want to act like we are more knowledgeable than others.
So, if you do disagree to whatever we talk about here, of course, feel free to tell us down in the comments so we can broaden our perspectives in the future. So, let's get to it. So, our first question is nursing for everyone? What do you think?
So, yes, to an extent. I'll only say yes because it's only going to pertain to those that really enter into the profession. Only certain factors that I'll exclude that'll be part of this conversation are those with disabilities, those with cognitive, physical, or even inevitable disabilities that they were even born with in the first place. So they can't really do nursing, Now, with that in mind, I do want to say that I do wholeheartedly believe, that no one is stupid. I'll say that again, no one is stupid. We are all ignorant, really, of what we learned from perceived understandings of how we grew up throughout our lives. I feel like everyone has the capability to learn. It's just a matter of what we really learned, how we grew up anyway in the first place. So, with that being said, nursing is a broad field. I feel like everyone has a place in nursing where they want to go to and what they're interested in. I mean, you have nurses, you have nursing of bedside, you have nursing to be done remotely at home, data analytics. You can go into nursing on a provider level. You can do it even in the military, and you can do it for education or even business purposes, and even forensics, etc. at this point. So once again, I do believe it is for everyone, but we do all have our own timing on how we grow as a nurse, and it also includes their will to do it as to why they entered the profession in the first place. And no nurse is going to be perfect at what they do. We all have our own pace of learning, but eventually we are nurses at the end of the day, and we all have different knowledge, but nonetheless, we are nurses. So,
All right, so to answer that question, my own opinion, I would say no. Although you did mention all of those branches of nursing that it can provide to someone, one can still feel lost despite trying to go for nursing, even with those multiple fields. And it's just probably not right for them, and it's okay. You can move on, because when you're in nursing, they start to realize that, nursing is not my calling. And they can start to move on and excel in different occupations. And that's why a lot of former nurses or a lot of former nursing students tend to shift or tend to change their course or their majors or their occupations. And I feel like it's really about finding what you truly want while being in a nursing. It's okay if you're already in nursing school and you're still unsure, that's fine. And I don't feel like it's a bad thing to move on and do a completely different profession. You need to do what makes you happy, and that when you graduate, you go to your job, and in that field you'll feel fulfillment. And when you get to wake up every day, you go to work and say, let's do this. Because sometimes not a lot of nursing, like nurses, have that drive anymore.
Yeah, so I see. I like that you included that one can lose their interest in nursing because they just realize that it's not for them. And I'm sure we can both agree that, if someone is really willing to be in nursing and stay in nursing, then don't let anybody keep you from doing nursing. Just goes back to my point. Everybody has their own learning pace, and you're just gonna stick through it and believe in yourself. So at first you can feel stupid. I didn't say you are. I said you can feel stupid, and I'm sure that's how everybody felt at one point. And we would know because we were there in those shoes at one point when we first started. So actually, that brings up to the next topic that we were going to talk about, and that is nurses eating the young. I'm sure that quote, if you haven't, it is a thing. And I do want to add that other professions such as doctors, therapists, even management, and other healthcare professions really do play a part in it. And basically what that quote really means is it's experienced nurses treating the new and upcoming nurses feel they treat them through bullying, through intimidation, harsh and personal criticism, and even exclusion. So that is pretty much what that quote pertains to. And that will eventually lead to such things such as like workplace bullying. So what do you have to say about that? And does it happen, and have you experienced or witnessed it firsthand?
So yes, I have experienced and witnessed it at firsthand. I think a new grad nurse or a young nurse such as us do eat their young or their youth because it comes with work-life balance and with coworkers such as the doctors, the therapists, managers, and basically everyone that we work with and that we collaborate with in the hospital. And basically in any places, not even the hospital itself, but other places that we need to collaborate with. I believe new grads are already coming in a place that will test their knowledge and their passion. And so to add all those dramas, such as bullying from co-health care workers and exclusion from them, that doesn't make it any better. Instead of them building confidence in the place that they're scared but they want to help out, it's the place where veteran nurses needs or are there to help you. Some actually tend to be petty, and it doesn't help those new nurses, those young nurses like us, at all. Hence, it actually lowers the self-esteem, and it adds more anxiety. It adds more stress to the stressful workplace already. And one point I said a while ago was the work-life balance. And I experienced this because when I was still a new nurse, on my days off, I would replay my shift and think about even showering. I would think about it, if I did this properly, what if I had done this, and that takes a toll on you mentally and emotionally because you tend to question yourself if you've done enough. So yeah, that actually consumed me.
So you brought up a good point about new grads already coming in and feel like they don't know enough. And then you have people that they look up to and making them feel even more discouraged. Unfortunately, I have kind of experienced that kind of scenario of starting off in the hospital. And unfortunately as well, I have witnessed it for other new grads. And being told of what they experience, it's kind of heartbreaking, and it's kind of unfortunate that they do have to go through that. Now, I do have to say there is such thing called constructive criticism. That is completely different, and I defer that from harassment and people talking behind other people's back. Constructive criticism is totally something else that is accepted, at least for me, and like a lot of nurses that agree for constructive criticism, because it makes you stronger anyway. It helps you learn better. It builds you up. It's kind of like motivation for somebody to tell you, you know, in a more upfront approach of mentoring and leading someone to be better. So that's totally different from bullying and what we talked about, what it was. And also, new grads do want to learn. I feel like it's so rare for any new grad to come in to a workplace and feel entitled at whatever they do. I mean, coming out of nursing school, going to clinicals doesn't fully prepare you enough to come and be a nurse already, right? So nursing school doesn't prepare you to be a nurse.
I haven't met a new grad that's...
Yeah, exactly. So, and I feel like we both know this because we've been through it. So, the idea really for a learning environment should be through mentorship and leading by example. Me personally, I would never treat any nurse, especially new grads, and not just any nurse, but for any other profession that we encounter with throughout the hospital. I don't treat them with any sense of superiority or making them feel inferior. I treat everyone with the same utmost respect, and giving a sense of being approachable for anybody, really. And I think if everyone did that in the workplace setting, I feel like the culture would be much more welcoming and much more motivating for new grad nurses, or even new ones starting off. And you know, it's like that's how it should be for not even just for nursing, for any workplace really. We are all just people that just got onto this or a certain occupation, and we're not going to know everything on the first day, but we also don't want anyone to tell us, you know, discouraging things. If we really care about our job, we want to learn, and we can strive for perfection, but you know, it's not something to expect coming straight off, and we don't want that. We can have that kind of expectation, but you know, we shouldn't be bullied through it. We shouldn't feel discouraged by other people through it. So
yeah, I totally agree on that. I feel like any workplace, not even in the hospital, not even in the nursing, any workplace at this point should have the difference between constructive criticism and just plain bullying. And unfortunately, it happens, but your mentor actually plays a large role or a major role in those new grads or in those new nurses that come in. And I feel like if those mentors have compassion, because we all started somewhere, we were all students at one point, we were all new grads at one point, you know, we have to respect each other and just be empathetic and sympathize on them, because they're scared and they're gonna look back to you and ask your opinion because they know you're smarter, you're more experienced than them. So it's them respecting you, and you should respect them too.
yeah, agree. So that leads me maybe to just like an extra question. Well, what do you think motivates someone, you know, for a nurse to eat their young, or even bullying in general?
I would say it's because of their ego, that they feed off the newer and vulnerable nurses, and because they know these new nurses are scared, are very timid, they tend to be vulnerable in bullying and exclusion, and they know that these new nurses won't say anything, so they take advantage of that situation.
Yeah, and unfortunately, there are people like that. Certain personalities of like narcissism, arrogance, grandiosity, and even like self-obsession. There are such personalities like that, and there can be people like that for nurses. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers up our topics that we wanted to cover today. I don't know if you have anything else to bring up.
So I guess we'll wrap this up by saying bullying is never and it's not supposed to be tolerated. And unfortunately, it happens because, they've been there long enough than you. They're known, they have connections. And it happens not only in the hospital, but also in other workplace settings, probably next schools. And as much as we don't want this to have a perfect world, it happens.
Yeah, word. So, anyways, that covers up our topics today. We hope you stayed intrigued, and feel free once again to leave us a comment down below of anything you wanted to add to this certain topic, for anyone else to read what your own thoughts are. And and of course, email us, follow our socials, give us more questions to ask in our future videos, and subscribe to us as well. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.